Hey, it's Michelle, your favorite social worker, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that I would never do as a parent given my 14 years of public child welfare experience. Let's get into it. Okay, the first thing, I would never leave my kids with just anyone. Even people who want to have a play date with your kid, for example. Somebody might say, hey, I can pick your kids up, I can take them around, but if I don't know you, I am not letting my kid come. And even if I do know you, I might just not let them stay with you alone. The second thing that I wouldn't do as a parent is ignore signs of distress on my kids. So there's a difference between being overly involved in trying to solve and mitigate every problem that your child experiences, and then there's the other part where you notice that there's a sudden shift in their behavior. They're acting a lot different than they were acting maybe a couple of weeks ago. And so I would zone in and just pay attention to what's going on, check in, and ask questions. Never going to be ignoring red flags. The third thing I wouldn't do as a parent is allow unlimited access on the internet, on a tablet, on a phone. I got to be mindful of what they're watching, who they're talking to, and everything in between. So we're monitoring social media content, including stuff on YouTube, and we're monitoring who they interact with, what they're interacting with on these video games, because they could chat with people and talk to people, and that's weird. It used to just be like Sega Genesis and whatever, and now it's like a whole other world I don't even understand. So paying attention to Roblox and all that stuff, that is very important. The fourth thing that I try not to do, and sometimes I actually catch myself doing, is showing affection. Now, I don't force my kids to hug and kiss people, but there's a difference between like instilling courtesy and respect and saying, oh, hug your grandma, hug your grandpa, say hi, talk. And that's a little bit different from back in the day when it was just like, oh, give your uncle a kiss on the cheek. I don't do that, you know? But I do encourage my kids to be respectful, and, it's usually because I've already scoped out the person and the people, right? So I'm never going to make them go, kiss or hug somebody that I'm like, mm-mm. You got to watch everybody, even family members, friends. Those are the ones who usually end up perpetrating abuse onto your kid. It's the people that are closest to you. So you got to watch everybody. And I would never force them to do something that's kind of outside of their comfort zone. But there's a balance. Like, you still got to show respect. That's a hard one. Okay, so the last one is also difficult. It's not relying on physical punishment to discipline your kids. Okay? Now, when I say physical punishment, I'm not talking about physical abuse. Okay? Physical abuse is when you're leaving marks, bruises on your kids. It's when you're doing things that are just stupid and trifling. I'm not talking about that. But even with physical punishment, I don't want to rely on that as my primary way to discipline my kids. I want it to be conversation, communication, and teaching them how to have accountability and how to regulate their emotions without relying on having to use an open hand on the bottom, for example, which is legal. Okay? It's legal. It is not against the law, and it is not abuse. But I don't want to rely on that kind of punishment. So those are the 5 things that I would never do as a parent, having been a social worker for the last 14 years. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or are somewhere in between. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time.